You close your seed round, you're celebrating, but you shouldn't be. If you gave up more than 20% equity, you didn't fund your startup, you sold it. You just haven't realized it. Because if this continues, then by series B or C, you'll end up owning less than 20%. You'll still have the CEO title, but you'll be building someone else's company. In this video, I'll show you the math that no one explains before you sign and why this is the one mistake that you cannot fix with revenue. Hi, I'm Kishore Dasaka. I run a fractional CFO firm for tech startups. I've reviewed hundreds of cap tables and helped founders avoid exactly this situation. Let me show you how the math actually works. Let's start with what goes wrong. A founder needs 500,000 to get the product market fit. An investor offers money, but the term sheet asks for 40%. The founder thinks about it, decides the capital is worth more than the equity, and he signs the deal. At that time, it feels like a win. Money is in the bank, investor is on board, the company is funded, but here's what he didn't understand. That 40% isn't just 40%. It is a decision that compounds against him at every future fundraise. He thinks he's buying runway. He's actually selling his future. And by the time he realizes it, there is no way to undo it. Here's usually what happens after this. After the seed round, the founder owns 60%. The investor owns 40%. Now it is time for Series A. The Series A VC wants 20. Now that is standard for a $2 to $5 million check. But there's another piece. The new investor will require an ESOP pool, usually 10% for the ESOP pool. Now let's do the math. Before Series A, the founder owned 60%. After Series A dilution, the 20% for the VC dilutes everyone. And the 10% ESOP dilution dilutes everyone again. Now the founder's stake here drops from 60% to 42%. No, that is not a typo. One raise and he's already nearly lost 1/3 of his ownership. And it gets worse because Series B comes around. The founder has hit his milestones. Revenue is scaling, team is growing. Time to raise a bigger round. The Series B investor wants 15 to 20% and another ESOP top-up of about 5 to 10%. Let's run the numbers again. The founder who started at 60% dropped to 42% by Series A. Now he drops to somewhere between 25 to 30% at Series B. And if there's a Series C in the future, he's looking somewhere at about 18 to 20%. He is no longer a majority shareholder. He's not even close. He's a minority owner with a CEO title. This is where VCs start walking away. Series A investors are not stupid. When they look at the cap table, they're not just looking at who owns what today, they're also modeling what happens over the next 3 to 4 rounds before the company goes for an exit or an IPO. And when they see that a founder already owns less than 50% at seed stage, they run the numbers forward and see exactly what I just showed you. A founder heading towards a 20% ownership by a Series B and maybe a 15% by Series C, that is a problem. Not because VCs are greedy, but because they understand incentives. When a founder owns less than 20% of their own company, the motivation changes. You're not building for yourself anymore. You're building for someone else's exit. And the VCs are smart enough to know this. They've seen this play out dozens of times before. The founder gets tired, the founder gets distracted, and the founder starts looking for the door. So they pass the deal. Not because the metrics are bad, but because the cap table itself is broken. Incredible traction, but an uninvestable structure. Now here's the irony. The seed investor who took 40% thought he was being smart. He tried to maximize and squeeze ownership. He wanted to protect the downside. But by being greedy at seed, he made the company unfundable. No Series A means no growth capital. No growth capital means the company stalls. And the company that stalls means 40% of his investment is usually nothing. He owns 40% of a rocket ship that has no fuel to launch. And that is the trap. Seed investors who optimize for ownership end up destroying the very thing that they invested in. And founders who accepted these terms don't realize they're signing away their future until it's too late. So, what should you do instead? Here's how I advise founders. At seed stage, you should not be giving up more than 10 to 20% equity. Not 40%, not 30%, max 10 to 20%. If an investor wants more than that, either your valuation is too low or the investor is too greedy, both of which are problems. If you give away too much too early, you're not funding your startup. You're selling your startup even before you build it. Cap table mistakes are the only ones you can't fix with revenue. You can recover from bad product launch. You can recover from a missed quarter. You can even recover from losing a big customer, but you cannot undilute yourself. Once the equity is gone, it is gone. And every future fundraise makes it worse. So before you sign a seed term sheet, run the math forward. Model your Series A, model your Series B, and see where you land. If the answer is a minority shareholder by Series B, walk away from the deal. No amount of capital is worth giving up control of your own company. So now you understand how cap tables compound against you. But there's another part of the fundraising story that dilutes you silently, the ESOP pool. In this video, I break down the top mistakes the founders make when it comes to ESOP. And I'll see you in that video.